Om Shanti. So yesterday somebody sent me a forwarded message and it was very nice. So it was a quotation by Mark Twain, and in that message it was said, "It is easier to fool someone than to convince them that they have been fooled." So I was just wondering, you see that Maya has fooled us for 2500 years, and now Baba is convincing us that we have been fooled. And it is really not easy, because uplifting us from that, that state of being foolish and convincing us that get wise, take charge of your subtle senses, of your life, of your karma. Don't allow Ravan to just play with your intellect or your mind or your life. And Baba is doing so much of, is putting in so much of effort for it. But somehow we again fall into the trap of Ravan. So I was just thinking about this quotation, so I shared. And then Baba today says that, so I want to take the slogan first because there have been many questions about the slogan. So Baba says, imbibe the quality of tolerance and harsh sanskars will become serene or peaceful. Now I think that Baba is talking about our own sanskars, and we have a tendency of reacting. Okay, so whenever our own sanskars make us uncomfortable in a situation or in the face of an event or behavior, we tend to react. We tend to find fault with the situation or the behavior, and we put in our energy to change that. So I think that is the opposite of tolerance. And what Baba is saying is, when you are faced with a situation or a behavior or an event or a circumstance or even your own sanskars or your own, mental turbulences, what you do is you don't react. You tolerate. And tolerance gives you the capacity to not react. Sahan Shakti makes you Shilvan. That's why it is called Sahan Shilta. So it gives you, the way to behave. So Baba says that you don't just, allow yourself to be to engage in bad behavior or reaction on the outside. So you just withdraw that permission that you have given to yourself and just tell yourself to be tolerant. And then when you do that, and when you are not allowing yourself to go outside, you can only go inside. Because there is a force, you are disturbed by it. So when you don't go outside, you will go inside. And when you go inside, then you will be able to see that the origin of that turbulence is not outside. It is some sanskar that you have. So it is not their behavior which is causing you disturbance, it is your sanskar, that particular sanskar which is triggered by that behavior. So mostly, we just go outside. We don't go inside when there is a turbulence inside. And since the fact is that the origin of the turbulence is inside. So when you go inside, you will be able to see where the real problem lies. And in any medical pursuit also, the main problem is diagnosis. So once you diagnose well that, it's not the external factor, it is what is inside that is causing trouble, then you will be able to, use Baba's knowledge and treat that. But if you just react, if there is no tolerance, if you just react on the external, then even if you go on the inside later, it's very difficult to go on the inside after you've created a bad karma. Yes? So let's take a simple example. Okay, somebody disobeys you. Yes? There is somebody who is in a subservient position in the office, or there is children at home who are younger and you expect them to be obedient. So let's say somebody talked very rudely or in a disobedient fashion, or they didn't follow your instructions, or they didn't do things the way you asked them to do. Now, if you are not tolerant and if you have not upheld this quality, this virtue, that I don't have to react, I don't have to just start pelting stones every time there is an unfavorable situation, and you just hold back a little, then you will be able to discover that when you go within, you realize that it's not because they are being disobedient, although it may appear like that. It's just that every soul has a different way of seeing and understanding and, applying things or doing things. And your way may be different, but their way is very different from yours. And just like you cannot appreciate their method, they are unable to appreciate your method. Or maybe even if they appreciate it, they are not skilled enough to do it your way. And then you understand that if you communicate better, if you communicate more often, then probably that which you consider as disobedience will change into a very small problem of, lack of communication. So you can communicate better and train them to be on the same wavelength as you. But that is a process. And when you go within, you realize that, your reaction is because of your sanskar of ego. So you think that when I am right, the other person is wrong, and wrong needs to be dismissed, or wrong needs to be, they need to be shouted at. But when you become soul conscious, you realize that you are right, but they are also right. It's just you are right in two different ways. And then you realize that because of the 63 births of vicious journey, and also because we are very uniquely designed to be different from each other, obviously the way you think is not the same way as they think, and the way you do things is not the same way as they do things. And it will take some amount of communication and juggling before they and you come to the same wavelength. Yes, it is also possible that when you speak, they understand and do it accurately. but then it will require some effort. It doesn't come naturally. And that effort has to be respectful. So when you are soul conscious and you have acceptance and respect for the other soul, then that effort can be made and you can come to the same wavelength. So Baba says, you have very strong sanskars. Yes, so sanskars that tell you that you are right and you are rightful and you are righteous, and whatever you think and you demand is, you are very deserving of it, or you are right in asking that. All that is fine, but then until and unless you see that the real problem is your own sanskar, and that you can't see if you keep going out and keep solving the problem outside. Only when you accept this door, the door of tolerance. So the door of tolerance allows you to move from outside to inside. Yes, so, and I will tell you, I have tried this practically. So so again, we all come from a body conscious world, and we have ideas that when I'm saying that this should be done this way, then that's the right way that it should be done. But then if you keep, and I also had the quality of reacting, but then I purposefully, I just asked myself that you don't have to react. Even if, there is a loss, whatever it is, you just have to imbibe or emerge this quality of tolerance. And then by doing that consciously, I was able to see the light that actually the problem is not outside. It is an ever-changing drama, loss, gain, insult, defamation, praise. These are all part of the drama. You cannot have everything your way all the time. That's not the design of the drama. But the way you are reacting is changing your destiny. So I started appreciating how my ego or my anger is causing the reaction. And then I started working on my ego and my anger, not the other person's mistakes, because the other person is not mistaken. It's just the way they are. But if you are not feeling okay with it, it's because of your sanskar. And until and unless you decide to be tolerant, you will not be able to see your sanskar. You will learn about, in the class, you will listen about, how acceptance and respect is important. But you will, in the face of a situation, you will anyways end up reacting because you have not trained yourself to be tolerant. So this is a very important slogan today. And then in the blessing today, Baba says that may you be full of good wishes and transform anything bad and make it good with the power of silence. So the blessing is also very similar, but in the blessing, Baba says that just like through the power of science, we are able to transform something bad and make it good. So there is a lot of recycling done through science. And Baba says that in the same way, with the power of silence, you have to transform bad situations or bad relationships and make them good. And how do you do that? So you must understand that you are experiencing, you are perceiving all that is bad, all that you are calling bad here. Yes, all your experiences here. Where is the bad relationship or the bad situation? Here. Am I right? Or is the situation outside? See, there is a situation outside, there is a relationship outside, But there is a bad situation and bad relationship here, because it's how you've projected it inside. And then Baba says, you have to transform it. So, where do you transform it? You transform it here. And how do you do that? Baba says, become full of good wishes, so that with your elevated thoughts, you are able to transform the bad things of souls and imbibe the goodness. So, when you have good wishes, then the thoughts you create in a situation or in the face of bad behavior is a product of what is your state of mind. So if you're full of good wishes, you will be able to create elevated thoughts for a bad situation or a bad behavior. Yes, so let's say, you see a Brahmin who is not disciplined. Yes, Baba's child, every day they are listening to the Murli, but they are not following the discipline, missing Amrit Vela, missing Yog. So, when you see that Brahmin, you have to have this good wish. Through the power of good wishes, you can create elevated thoughts that since he is listening to the Murli, tomorrow he will definitely wake up in the morning and do Amrit Vela. So instead of analyzing their present behavior and creating negative feelings for them, you can use the power of good wishes and create elevated thoughts for them. But let me tell you that good wishes should be there. So, it's like a state where you're full of good wishes, and only that state can make you think elevated thoughts at that time. And if you are able to do that, then they will also receive the power to change from you. Okay, because drishti se srishti. So the way you look at them will change them. But how do you transform the way you look at them? Through the power of good wishes. Now, do we have so much power of good wishes? Now, Baba has given us a 3-step formula. Note this, there are 3 words: Swachintan, Shubh Chintan, and Shubh Chintak. Okay. Now, you see that in the world we hear Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. In the world we are trained to think that everybody should be happy and everybody should have a great life, and that should be our wish. But you cannot keep wishing this for everybody all the time. Can you just wake up in the morning and until night, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sukhina? You cannot do that. So, how do you always create good wishes for others? So, the foundation of good wishes for others is Swachintan. When you are always engaging in thinking about yourself, your true nature, that you are a child of Baba, that you're so fortunate that Baba has come and is teaching you to take you to heaven. When you start thinking about your journey as a soul and how elevated you are as a deity and how elevated you are as an instrument of Baba at this time. So when you start churning about your elevated state, then from that elevated state, it is very easy to think good about everybody because you think as you are. Okay, so when you change who you are inside, when you think about who you really are constantly, when you think about yourself as a soul, as the beloved child of Baba, as the one who is pure and the one who is an instrument of Baba, when you start thinking about yourself in an elevated manner, then you automatically think as you are and you start thinking well about others also. So, if you want to be full of good wishes always, then do a lot of self reflection. Your true nature, your home, your original stage as a deity. That's why Baba says Swadarshan Chakra. Always churn the Swadarshan Chakra. And then you will not have to consciously think good about others. That will be your nature. And you see that anything that you do, anything that you do for others consciously, if you don't get the reward of it, you will be discouraged. So if it's not your nature to wish well for others, and you're doing it because you want to do it or something, and then you don't get the reward of it, so maybe you think you wish well for somebody and then they talk rudely to you, you will be discouraged to wish well for them. But if you're just being in your own nature, so you're not doing it for them, you are doing it because of who you are, then that can be a very sustained process. So you can always continue having good wishes for others. So if there is no Swachintan, there cannot be Shubh Chintan. And you cannot be Shubh Chintak. So you cannot be the one who is always full of good wishes if you don't follow this 3-step process in the right order. And then Baba also says that you will always know what is right and wrong. It's not like if somebody is missing Amrit Vela, then you don't understand what they are missing. So you are knowledgeful, you know what is right and wrong, but when you know something is wrong, you will not keep it in your heart, because when you keep something which is bad in your heart, then your heart goes bad. Yes, so when something has to be kept in your heart, you transform it into something good and then keep it. So that's the way you do it. Okay, so these are two very practical things that Baba has told us. And then today I also want to talk about Baba using two words. Baba says there is spiritual knowledge and there is philosophy. And Baba says that I am the only one who gives you spiritual knowledge, and all the scriptures and the Vedas and everything is philosophy. And when you look up the word philosophy in the dictionary, it means a set of ideas that tell you how to behave or that tell you how to go about your life. Yes? So, if you really see what Baba means by philosophy, philosophy tells you what to do. Yes? Or, so why should you do what you should do? So it's about doing, it's about behavior, it's about how to conduct yourself in the world. And the scriptures are all about that. Yes? And that's why the scriptures were very relevant up to a point of time, because the problem of who we are was not a real problem until a long time. Yes, so even from Dwapar Yug, from the Copper Age, when we started falling, even at that time, we were pretty powerful inside. Even if We were 9 degrees or 8 degrees. That was even half of the power. So half of the spiritual power was still there. And at that time, if somebody guided you, don't go this way, go do that, don't do this, or speak like this, don't speak like that. So you were directionless, but you were not completely powerless. So at that time, the philosophy, the direction of what to do, what not to do was very important, because you didn't have the spiritual power to figure out on your own what to do, because you see that the intellect became half weak, right, and half powerful. So you didn't have the discernment to decide or discern in every situation what is the accurate response to give or what to do in every situation. But if somebody told you, you had the ability to carry it out. Okay, so from the Copper Age, the Veds and the Shastras did that for us. So they gave us the direction about what we do, what we should do, and we did it. So women were told that you are a woman, so you should have this role and you should do this. Men were told that you are a man, so this is right behavior for you. A king was given a certain duties. Yeah, a subject was given another set of duties. So everybody was given the direction about what to do and what not to do. And then because they were all souls and the soul had some spiritual power, they could do what they were asked to do. Okay. Now, at this time, we are not just directionless, we are completely powerless. And at this time, if somebody tells you that, you do this and this is the way out, we don't have the capacity to do that. So, I'll tell you one personal experience. So, there was this daughter-in-law, mother-in-law pair who had come to the center. And the mother-in-law was a doctor and the daughter-in-law was also a doctor. And the mother-in-law, when the daughter-in-law went to wash the bhog bartan, so she had accepted bhog and she went to keep the utensils and just wash them. So we had 5 minutes. And then the mother-in-law said that, I'm not in favor of women working these days. And I am not in favor of my daughter-in-law going for work. So I said, but as far as I know, you are a doctor yourself and you have worked all your life and you're probably one of the firsts in your field, in your area, and you have done a commendable job. And then she said, but I continued to be a woman. I was tolerant. I took care of the home. I took care of my kids. You see, my son is a doctor and I raised him well. But my daughter-in-law, she doesn't do all of that. She just goes to work and I don't know how good she is at her work, but she doesn't take care of the house. She doesn't think it's a responsibility to raise the kids well. And this is coming from a person who themselves worked. Yes, and then when the daughter-in-law came, so we were still talking and she heard some bit of it. And then she started discussing it. And then I told her, so your mother-in-law thinks it's a best fit if you do all of it. So do you think it's a best fit? So she said, even if I think it's a best fit, I can't do it. I don't have that much of energy. I don't have that much of power. And I really admire my mother-in-law. She's a superwoman. But I'm not a superwoman. And she said, I am doing my job and it requires immense effort on my part, and I'm not able to take care of the house after that. Although I would love to, I've seen my mother do it, I've seen my mother-in-law do it. I would love to, but I'm not able to. So, and that was very honest and from the heart. Now, the thing is, I'm not advocating any of those ideologies. But the thing is, you see, spiritual power is declining with every generation. So souls are getting weaker and weaker with time. And then even if you tell them that, if you are a superwoman, then you can, have your dignity and you can earn, and then you can take care of the household also, raise children also, future security also is there. They also understand, but they are not that powerful anymore. And this is not about a man or a woman, it's about a soul. It's about the spiritual depletion. And this is why when Baba comes at the end of the cycle, he doesn't give philosophy. He doesn't tell you do this, don't do that, be like this, don't be like that. Baba gives you spiritual knowledge. What is spiritual knowledge? Knowledge that makes you realize you are a soul and your whole life is the universe responding to your karma. And your karma is a product of your state, not your intention. So just understand these two things. Your life is universe, the response of the universe to your karma. And your karma is a product of your stage, your state, not your intention. So if you are not powerful, if you're not peaceful, if you're not happy inside, then even if you intend the best, your karma will not be the best. Because you do as you are. So that is why Baba says, work on your being. Only when you work on your being, your doing, your talking, your responding will become accurate. So this is why Baba says that this being is very powerless right now, and the state of the being is determined by who you have yoga with. So do you see that these days the states of being are very depleted? So every soul is very spiritually depleted. And you ask them, who do you remember? Who do you have yoga with? So they certainly have yoga with some bad event of the past, or some relationship that is not working out, something that's not right. So if you always have yoga with something that is low energy, not proper, not working well, then how will you work well? Because you become like the one you have yoga with. That's why Baba says, if you want to be powerful, then you have to have yoga with Baba. You have to always keep Baba's, image and qualities and your relationship with Baba in your buddhi. And you will have that kind of love for Baba only when you are very aware all the time that you are a soul and your state of being decides the state of your karma, and your karma decides how the universe will respond to you in the form of life. So what you call life is nothing but the response of the universe to your karma. And your karma is a product of who you are in remembrance with. So if you keep remembering the negative, the sorrowful, the painful, you will never be able to do good karma, because your mind is constantly, creating that karma which is spoiling your destiny. So Baba says that I give you spiritual knowledge, that this is not a game of the visibles, it is a game of the invisibles. And you must understand that you are a soul, although you can't see yourself. I'm telling you the whole journey of you. You, the soul, are the master of the body, the master of your life, and you have taken 84 births. And in Ravan Rajya, you have lost all your power, and now you have to remember me to get that power back. And only when you're powerful, you will be in a position to do good karma. I'm also giving you the education of what is good karma, bad karma, sinful karma, all that I'm giving you. But until and unless you are powerful, you cannot do it. For that you need yoga, and for that today in the Murli Sar, Baba is telling us, wake up at night or early in the morning, and Baba has specifically told us 2 in the morning and after that up to 4 is a good time to get up. And in the morning, sit and think about yourself as a soul, and think about the fact that Baba has come to take you back, and that you have to get ready to go back. And when you do that, then your body consciousness will become lesser and lesser. Yes, yesterday's slogan was become a guest. Yes, think about yourself as a guest. And when you are a guest, you are very well behaved. Have you seen that? Why? Because you're detached. You don't have ownership there. So the whole problem is this feeling of ownership, this feeling of attachment. So Baba says every day if you sit and practice that I am a soul separate from the body, and my home, my father is up there in the incorporeal world, and I have to go back there, just finish my business until I go back. If you develop this consciousness, then while you work in the day, you will have very less body consciousness. You will not get caught up in things. You will do things, you will behave, but you will not get caught up in things. So Baba is giving us spiritual knowledge. Baba is telling us what is the spiritual condition, what is the spiritual problem, and Baba is also telling us how the soul, through the power of remembrance, can correct the spiritual problem. And so Baba says, I'm not giving you philosophy, I'm giving you spiritual knowledge, and only I give you spiritual knowledge, nobody else does. So you never learn about the 84 births of the soul or the journey of the soul until Baba comes. You never learn about how elevated we were and why we got depleted, who is Ravan, what are the vices. We don't understand these things until Baba comes. So this is something that Baba tells us. And then Baba warns us about Maya. And Baba says that getting caught in name and form. So you see that people, places and things, we always thought that they will give us happiness and power. And although we have learnt it very well that they have nothing to do with happiness, we know from experience that people, places and things are who they are, and they cannot give us happiness. Have we not learned that lesson yet? How many are yet to learn that lesson? Everybody has learned that lesson. But still, Maya creates this illusion that if you run after them a little more, maybe you'll find that happiness. But it's not like that. So don't allow Maya to deceive you again and again and create this illusion that, maybe if you run a little harder, a little faster, a little more intense, maybe you will be able to catch the happiness that's there. No, you cannot. And Baba says, in that running after people, places, and things, you are losing out on the valuable time of Sangam Yug, where you have to remember Baba and sit in silence and create this powerful state which is going to serve you for 21 births. So beware. Okay. Om Shanti.